From the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
These are the cybersecurity headlines for Friday, November 7th, 2025. I'm Steve Prentice. Hackers use Windows Hyper-V to evade EDR detection. According to a new report from Bitdefender, a threat actor group known as Curly Comrades has been seen, quote, exploiting virtualization technologies as a way to bypass security solutions and execute custom malware, end quote. The group has apparently enabled the Hyper-V role on selected victim systems to deploy a minimalistic Alpine Linux-based virtual machine. This allows them to deploy their custom reverse shell called Curly Shell and a reverse proxy called Curl Cat. The activity and victims appear to be centered in the country of Georgia in the South Caucasus. Critical Cisco UCCX flaw lets attackers run commands as root. Cisco has released security updates to patch this vulnerability, which has a CVE number, and it exists within the Unified Contact Center Express, that is UCCX software, and could enable attackers to execute commands with root privileges. Cisco describes its UCCX platform as a, quote, contact center in a box, a software solution for managing customer interactions in call centers, supporting up to 400 agents, end quote. In a security bulletin released Wednesday, Cisco attributed the vulnerability to, quote, improper authentication mechanisms associated to specific Cisco Unified CCX features, end quote. Poland reports 3 major cyber attacks. Authorities in Poland are looking into a series of recent cyber attacks, which Digital Affairs Minister Krzysztof Gałkowski says are now a daily occurrence. The 3 largest in this recent spate focused on the online loan platform Supergross, which confirmed the theft of PII belonging to at least 10,000 customers. Also, a DDoS attack on Poland's payment infrastructure, briefly disrupting Blik, which is the country's leading mobile payment system used for instant transfers and cash withdrawals. And finally, Nowa Itaka, which is Poland's largest travel agency. There is no official confirmation that these incidents are linked, but Gałkowski attributed the attack on Blik as coming from Russia. The Louvre's video security password was reportedly Louvre. Analysis of one of the most brazen museum robberies in history, the theft of the French crown jewels from the Galerie d'Apollon at the Louvre Museum in Paris, shows that the museum has endured lax security measures that go back many years. The password for the video surveillance system, for example, was Louvre, L-O-U-V-R-E, and this was according to a security audit performed in 2014. Key parts of its security software were more than 2 decades old, and many are unsupported now by its developer. These specific examples may not have been directly involved in last month's jewel heist, but represent significant delays and omissions in updating and expanding the museum's security across video, locations, and, of course, technology. The director of the Louvre, Laurence Descartes, had struggled for years to obtain necessary upgrades. She tendered her resignation following the theft, but France's Culture Minister Rachida Dati refused it. Huge thanks to our sponsor, ThreatLocker. Imagine having the power to decide exactly what runs in your IT environment and blocking everything else by default. That's what ThreatLocker delivers. As a zero-trust endpoint protection platform, ThreatLocker fills the gaps traditional solutions leave behind, giving your business stronger security and control. Don't just react to threats, stop them with ThreatLocker. The most common passwords for 2025? You already know them. A new report from research company Comparitech shows that among the top 100 most used passwords of 2025, 8 out of the top 10 are variations of 123456, with the other 2 being password and admin. In fact, variations of these 3 together pretty much occupy the entire 100, with gin, G-I-N, just like the alcohol, a row of 10 asterisks, root, R-O-O-T, India 123, and Minecraft. Comparitech's consumer privacy advocate Paul Bischoff said in an email interview with The Register that companies that do not enforce good password technique represent the most pressing problem. SonicWall attributes attack on customer portal to undisclosed nation-state. Mandiant has now concluded its investigation into the October brute force attack that exposed firewall configuration files of every SonicWall customer who used the company's cloud backup service. SonicWall itself is placing blame on an undisclosed nation-state that gained access to the cloud backup files using an API call. CEO Bob Van Kirk said in a video published alongside the update, quote, "There was no impact to any SonicWall product, firmware, source code, production network, or to any customer data or any other SonicWall system," end quote. However, Ryan Dewhurst, head of proactive threat intelligence at Watchtower, previously told Cyberscoop that those files contain, quote, "a treasure trove of sensitive data, including firewall rules, encrypted credentials, routing configurations, and more," end quote. EU Parliament votes to advance controversial Europol data sharing proposal. On Tuesday, lawmakers in the European Union's Parliament voted to move ahead with a proposal that would allow Europol to expand data sharing and biometric data collection to fight human trafficking and migrant smuggling. This proposal will now be subject to a full plenary vote later this month. The proposal expands data sharing between national governments and Europol and allows for more substantial processing of biometric data. Sandworm hackers use data wipers to disrupt Ukraine's grain sector. In an ongoing story, Russian hacker group Sandworm has, quote, "deployed multiple data wiping malware families in attacks targeting Ukraine's education, government, and the grain sector, which is the country's main revenue source," end quote. According to ESET, these attacks occurred in June and September and are a continuation of Sandworm's destructive campaign against Ukraine. Unlike ransomware, where the data is typically stolen and then encrypted, wiper malware is used purely in sabotage operations. Do you want to know more about the most pressing stories of the last few days in time for your weekly stand-up? Well, join us on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time for the Department of No, where our guests will sort out the priority stories and do a deep dive on the ones that matter the most. And of course, we will actively involve you in the conversation. Just simply go to YouTube, search for CISO Series, and look for Rich Stroffolino's smiling face under upcoming live streams. And if you have some thoughts on the news from today or about the show in general, please be sure to reach out to us at feedback@cisoseries.com. We would love to hear from you. I'm Steve Prentice, reporting for the CISO Series.
Cybersecurity headlines are available every weekday. Head to CISOseries.com for the full stories behind the headlines.